Good morning. Welcome to Ladies of Another View. Why did I say good morning? It's not even morning anymore. But anyways.
Well, it is.
It is.
It is.
It's almost.
It's almost morning. It's morning somewhere.
Let's move on. I'm here with Mary today, and I'm Patty. And later on in the show, we have Alvin Lui joining us. He is the president and founder of Courage is a Habit, to talk about why socialism is really about envy deep down at the roots. And for the lighter side, if you want to be an optimist, we've got some tips for you. But first, I want to welcome back to the show Ryan Morgan, who is a military and foreign affairs reporter with Epoch Times. Welcome to the show, Ryan.
Thank you for having me.
I should say welcome back because you are a foreign reporter and a military reporter. That's kind of big credentials there. And there's a lot going on in the military, as there usually is. And so I want to take a look at some of your recent articles. U.S. forces launched new strikes on Iran, following attack on ship in Straits of Hormuz. We don't want to hear this. This is not good news. We just want this to be over. Tell us what's going on.
Yeah, so essentially what happened is when the U.S. and Iran reached the memorandum of understanding agreement last month, the agreement stated that Iran would allow the transit of commercial ships through the Strait of Hormuz without imposing a toll. But I essentially what we've seen is that the Iranians are saying all traffic through this waterway is going to be coming through the route that we decide. There are no other routes other than the ones that we manage. And so what happened on Saturday, and this has happened a few other times previously, but what happened on Saturday is the Iranians said there's been this ship that went through an unauthorized route. We said no. We told them to deviate their course. They refused. We fired upon them. And then afterwards, we shut down all traffic through the Strait of Hormuz. Within, I would say, about an hour of the Iranians coming out with that message, the U.S. Central announced we have begun new strikes on Iran. And then I think the latest update now is that President Trump has announced U.S. forces have reimposed that blockade of Iran that was there earlier this spring. So what we are seeing is an escalating situation. Last week, President Trump said that the memorandum of understanding is over, but we'll still allow some some conversation, some negotiation to see if we can still reach a deal, get things back on track. But effectively, the deal is over, and now what we're seeing in this last couple of days is that fighting is escalating and things are not settling down.
That's absolutely crazy. I mean, we've been battling this now for months and months, and try to get this shipping route back open. And they keep saying, yes, we're going to do it. And then it's like, no, we're not going to do it. And it just keeps going back and forth. I don't see any way that we can trust them on any level. And so what is it going to take?
I mean, from the Iranian perspective, you have to understand that before there was this war, there was always kind of this ambiguity about what would happen. We were twice involved in negotiations, in the middle of negotiations when either Israel or the United States began striking Iran. And Iran has said, okay, now that we've crossed sort of that point of no return, what we want out of any sort of long-standing deal is this sort of leverage point. And they view the Strait of Hormuz as basically a powerful bargaining chip that they always want to have on their side going forward. That's kind of what we've seen out of this war is the Iranians are trying to say, okay, we've been so hit, we've been so damaged, we need some piece of leverage in order to continue engaging with you guys. And obviously that is a non-starter for the rest of the world. Nobody wants the Iranians controlling the traffic through there. That's it's about 20% of all global oil and gas and significant other levels of global commodities like fertilizer.
And go ahead. Did you have something else? Or
well, I was going to say, in terms of building trust, I mean, there is zero trust there, between the two countries. Trump pulled out of the Obama era deal, which was, obviously something that the Iranians liked, and now both sides are trying to figure out, okay, what can we do going forward?
Right, I guess that's the next step, right? What can we do going forward? But do you know, have you heard, or what do you think that next step is? Are they gonna, what's the plan?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that there is really a plan that we're going to see play out through continued negotiations. At this point, we're kind of letting the bombs talk, as the U.S. military says, we can negotiate with bombs, and so I imagine that we're going to continue to see any type of Iranian effort to assert control over the Strait of Hormuz is going to be pretty quickly answered with continuing U.S. strikes. I don't see us kind of ceding that waterway to them. And then I have started to hear kind of increased talk of U.S. military action either to seize one of the outlying Iranian islands in the Persian Gulf as an added point of leverage to kind of push them back into their box.
Well, it's kind
Okay.
of crazy when you look at the big picture. Right now, the U.S. is almost at its low or below that line where we have our strategic storage, and we have oil. We don't need other people's oil. Between us and Alberta, we could supply the world with oil, couldn't we? I mean, we can build fertilizer plants. We have fertilizer plants. Why don't we just say the heck with you, and then let that just fail on its own, and we pick up the slack?
Yeah, I don't know that I will admit that I'm not entirely read up on where we are in terms of the oils play. I did hear that we kept the costs relatively low here in the United States because we were drawing on the strategic petroleum reserve. We were kind of emptying that out to keep some liquidity here in our market. We could certainly pick up the slack for the rest of the world in the long run. It's just a matter of can they go that long while the time that it takes for us to build up that capacity to meet the rest of the world's needs, that might be a non-starter for them. They might need the gas now, and we're looking at being able to get it to them in, a timeline of years.
Right, because it does affect our economy in that way. So I want to also switch gears here and talk about another article that you wrote recently. Democratic Representative Khanna says he was confronted by armed Israeli settlers in the West Bank. Now we're seeing in the Democratic Party a lot of pro-Palestine, anti-Israel rhetoric, and it looks to me that this is part of that. Explain what happened.
Yeah, so I there is still some dispute over what exactly happened there on the ground. This was on July 8th. That it appears that Ro Khanna and members of his staff were doing a tour of the West Bank, which is a disputed territory. I don't know how much of a history lesson you want me to get into, but needless to say, the Palestinian side has been, they've been pushed off into the West Bank over the course of decades, and then the Israelis have been expanding their settlements within that territory. And there is this long-standing dispute over who has what territory there in the West Bank. The West Bank is kind of thought to be sort of the core component of what would potentially be a Palestinian state down the line in the future if that were to happen. And every time that there is an Israeli settlement that expands, that it undermines that claim by the Palestinian side. So in that context, Khanna and his staff were going for a visit. Khanna was not necessarily the most critical of Israel back in the day. Even if you go back a few years, he's kind of more uh, he's kind of more like sitting on the fence, oh, we can continue to be allies to Israel, but we need, oversight measures, et cetera, things of that nature. But as this has become a more contentious issue, especially within the Democratic base, he has been more outspoken in his criticism of the military, or of the Israeli government and of the Israeli military. So it's in this context that there was some kind of encounter where his staff is driving around, and there is at least one, presumably they're an Israeli civilian with a rifle. You can see it in the photo. It sounds like he was stopped for somewhere between 20 minutes and a half hour before Israeli soldiers came along. And then a period of, an extra 30 to 60 minutes, this played out where they're just stopped on this roadside with, the Israeli soldiers trying to figure out who's doing what the course of this, or what the cause of this standoff is, and then he was let go. He
Right.
said that yeah, he
So
said
the
that these
Israeli forces defended him, dispersed the crowd. And now he's calling for the cutoff of aid to Israel. So it does sound like there's some politicizing going on there. But we have to take a break.
okay.
And when we come back, we're going to talk about AI and security concerns. Surprise, surprise. So don't go away.
Find your path to discovery, adventure, and inspiration in Lemon, South Dakota. Immerse yourself in the charm and beauty of the region's natural resources. Unearth eras of history. Explore the unique attractions and world-renowned creations. Come see for yourself what makes this community a great getaway and an even greater place to make your home. Whether you're here for a day or for a lifetime, you can find your path in Lemon, South Dakota.
There's never been a better time to rediscover the style, reliability, and all-season, all-terrain fun of the all-new Nissan lineup at the new and improved Ryan Nissan. Whether it's the sleek and stylish Murano, the adventure-ready Pathfinder, or the reimagined, ready-for-anything 2026 Rogue, the all-new Ryan Nissan has the vehicle of your dreams at a price perfect for any budget. It's time to rediscover your passion for the road. It's time to rediscover the all-new Ryan Nissan, engineered to endure.
Yeah, U.S. Cattlemen is a member organization that each member has a vote in anything we do with policy. We're representing the independent cattleman or the cow-calf guy or an independent feeder or whatever. We like to support the independent producer. Talking about mandatory ID, we're talking about cool, we're talking about all the legislation that's going to be coming down with the new administration. There's going to be lots of moving and shaking, so always check us out at our website, uscattleman.org.
Come on in and experience small town hospitality and the personalized care that makes car buying a pleasure.
We know that every journey starts with the right car, whether it's school drop-off, weekend road trips, or your daily commute. We have the right vehicle for you and your family.
With trusted brands, affordable prices, and a team that treats you like family, finding your next car has never been so easy.
We pride ourselves on personal attention and quality service. Bassett Motors, where our customers send their friends.
When I first decided to invest in gold, I was a bit nervous and unsure how to start. Luckily, I found Noble Gold Investments. From the very first call, they made investing easy. No pushy sales tactics, no gimmicks, and no confusing free silver offers with hidden fees. Just honest advice tailored to my needs, giving me confidence every step of the way. If you're new to gold investing or want a partner you can trust, visit noblegoldinvestments.com.
Welcome to where classy meets Wild West. Buffalo Gypsy Boutique of Bismarck has clothing, decor, and gifts ranging from sophisticated boho style to fun and flashy. Our exclusive brands such as Scully, Double D Ranch, and Tanner Mark provide standout style for the whole family, right down to the little ones. We always have a great selection of Kimes denim, and we proudly offer American-made jewelry and artwork. Find Buffalo Gypsy classing up North Bismarck just off Highway 83.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View, and I want to welcome back our guest, Epoch Times reporter Ryan Morgan, who is, his beat is military and foreign affairs. So I want to talk about a little bit with AI concerns with national security, and we have talked about this before, but there's some risks because they can surpass security in no time flat. Surprise, surprise. So what's going on with that? What are the concerns, and what kind of pieces are we putting in place for protection?
Yeah, so the jumping off point for this story that Nathan and I worked on was there was this comment attributed to the National Security Agency director where he said, something to the effect of, we had this AI model, it's called Mythos 5, It was able to break into our most secure systems within a matter of hours, not weeks, is a rough but accurate paraphrase of what he is alleged to have said. So we looked into that, that issue from that quote in mind. And what we found is that it's probably unlikely that AI actually just brute forced its way into, a secure network run by the NSA per se. What's more likely that happened is that Mythos 5 was introduced into this secure network deliberately as a way to study the network and figure out what its vulnerabilities would be. And it's my understanding that this AI model, this very advanced AI model, was able to map out all the software vulnerabilities throughout the network and kind of generate a report back of, here's exactly what this network looks like if I am an intruder trying to break in. The thing that is interesting about Mythos 5 is that it was actually introduced as sort of uh, a tool for cyber security folks, for defenders, people on the defensive side, hey, this is a really good model for parsing through massive troves of data and figuring out what it means. What will this giant pile of code actually turn into, and figure out what all the vulnerabilities within that code are. And so Mythos 5 was rolled out to a select number of companies to try and test out their networks and make sure that they're secure, make sure that their software is not vulnerable. And so that's why it was rolled out. However, there is a concern that nefarious actors could use that tool for hacking, for finding out what those vulnerabilities are, and then plotting ways to exploit them. So we don't necessarily have per se an AI master key that can just break into any network at whim, at its will. But what we do have is a very sophisticated tool, and it's becoming more sophisticated by the day, that's able to, figure out what vulnerabilities exist and then to devise schemes that could be used by a human hacker, by nefarious human actors to try and break into systems. So unlikely that these are just brute forcing their way in, but what AI could do is it could do what's called a supply chain attack, which is where it tries to find an open source software. Open source is a software that everybody uses. It's something that the community can contribute to and add to. And so what it would try and do is create a piece of vulnerable code and put it within that open source database that everybody would then pull from without knowing that it's actually a vulnerability. And so AI could kind of speed up the process with which they generate these vulnerabilities to try and sneak into the supply chain, and create, backdoor opportunities for hackers to break in.
But it only makes sense because we've all seen like the different robots that they've manufactured, and they're supposed to do X, Y, and Z, but the robots will start to hack themselves so that they can do more. And it only makes sense that all of this data, everything can be hacked because it is so smart and so intelligent that it only makes sense that it could override each other. Call me crazy?
You're not crazy. I think what we're trying to understand is where this technology is going to be in 5 years or 10 years. I think we've been really surprised by how far it's come within that same amount of time in the past 5 years. And so we're trying, I think what policymakers are really struggling with is how to stay ahead of, or even if we are ahead of this technology, fully understanding where it is now and where it's going to go. It is a scary thing, just not being able to know and understand exactly what this technology can do. The takeaway that I think a lot of people see right now is that AI is capable of really sifting through a lot of data, but it still requires a knowledgeable human to feed it the right prompts, say, hey, I'm looking for this XYZ result that doesn't trigger this, backlash sort of thing. I need very specific parameters, and the smarter the human is at feeding those parameters into the AI, the better that AI is at giving back powerful, useful code that can be used for for a variety of things, whether it's breaking into a network, or whether it's just analyzing a lot of data to come up with a preferable good solution that people are looking for, whether in the financial and the medical sector, in any kind of sector. We've got this very powerful tool. It's kind of like Prometheus gave us fire, and we're not quite sure what we can do with it. We can either light up our world, or we can burn the forest down.
Oh, yeah. I hope. I mean, you sound like there is some hope that we'll be able to get on top of this and put in some shields, some protection. I want to talk a little quickly about Washington is hosting world leaders meeting on the rising political terrorism concerns. So they're going to be representing more than 60 countries in D.C. Tell me what that's about.
And we only have about 2 minutes, so just a Cliff Note version.
I'll keep it brief. Yeah, so there was basically, Secretary of State Rubio has invited more than 60 nations, his counterpart from more than 60 nations. And it's my understanding that a key focus within this terrorism meeting is really focused on political terrorism. Back in May, the U.S. put out a new counterterrorism strategy that really elevated the risk of terrorism from the left wing. It said, left-wing terrorism, political terrorism, not our traditional Islamist extremist, but, groups, generally what we would call Antifa, or a rising terrorism threat. And they're really trying to get the rest of the global community to see it the same way. We have labeled a few different kind of Antifa-affiliated groups as foreign terrorist organizations, but Europe has been much more hesitant about it. Where the countries where these Antifa cells are based are much more hesitant about actually labeling them as terrorist groups. And so what I expect is that there's going to be kind of a concerted effort by the U.S. where we go to our European partners and allies and say, no, this is a serious issue. We want you to treat it the way we do. We want you to treat it seriously and help us. Even if you won't label them as terrorists, we still want you feeding us, intelligence sharing that we can use to monitor these groups and protect against them.
Amen. Wonderful. Especially when it comes to Antifa, because I know they're not just in the U.S., they're pretty bad in Australia too. Thank you, Ryan, once again for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
And when we come back, we're going to visit with Alvin Lui, who is the president of Courage is a Habit, and he's going to talk about Marxism. It's basically about envy and greed and more when we come back.
And more.
Stop out to our facility, Highway 22 South. Let us build a truck for you.
When there's a storm on the horizon, you typically don't get a lot of advance notice. So you brace yourself as best you can and rebuild when it's over. Times like these are what insurance is for, the protection of our livelihoods, our families, our homes, and our lives. We support our community coming together in times of need. As an independent insurance agency, we tailor our services to your needs. At Dakota Community Insurance, we can help you weather the storm. Talk to one of our agents today.
We are the St. Mary Sisters. We are building a new facility here in Bismarck, North Dakota, for the sake of training young women to be courageous teachers in this state. The sisters will educate the younger generation to be fully alive through truth and discipline. The sisters' life of devotion and joy will make a positive difference in your community. Check out what we're up to, see what's going on, and join our mission to make a difference in the lives of the children of North Dakota.
Let's be frank, it's a pain to be without your vehicle after an accident. That's why you should take it to Jerome's Collision Center. Our shop is supersized and we have the qualified staff to fill it up and work on your vehicle. step by step, piece by piece, in crazy fast time without sacrificing quality. When you need us, we'll turn your bad experience into a good one. We're Jerome's Collision Center, and we're the best at what we do.
Hey, I'm Corey Heppola, and I grew up in a small town.
This road used to be gravel.
But a long time ago, I left to live in a big city. Now, I wonder...
Just because we're small doesn't mean we can't have nice things.
What would it be like to move back?
Man, it's mad love up in here.
So, I'm traveling to different small towns across the Midwest to find out. Because what do I really know about rural living? Oh. The people.
If there is anything that you can say about this town, it's that we take care of each other.
The innovation.
So none of this equipment even existed.
And the opportunities.
It's like every year in the spring, there's always like a revitalization of just excitement.
This is my town.
Oh! Oh, jeez! You were close.
7 episodes. Sunday night, 6:30 on Beck TV.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View, and I want to welcome back a guest we've had on before, and I know you guys love him, Alvin Lui. He's the founder and president of Courage is a Habit. Welcome back to the show, Alvin.
Thank you for having me back. It's always a pleasure to talk to you ladies.
You're known especially for being involved in educational issues and helping arm parents with the kind of brainwashing that goes on in schools and telling them what to do and how to handle it. But you go way beyond just that, and you recently had an article in the Federalist talking about democratic socialists who failed at life are weaponizing envy to destroy American families.
Right.
That hits the nail on the head in a big way. Can you explain that?
Well, I think throughout the last 20 years of political correctness, the reason why they've removed certain words from the lexicon of Americans is because they don't want Americans to describe certain people the correct way. So they've made everything softer. They made language very gray so that it could mean anything. And so in that article, what I led with is I said that there's no such thing as democratic socialism. It's just socialism, you know. So socialist and communists, but socialist first because that's the entry point. It's really the movement of the lazy, the jealous, and the losers. And again, I know that those words are removed from lexicon for a reason, like, oh, you shouldn't call people that. But that's true, though. But that is 100% true, because the socialists will always talk about, they'll always talk about two things: free stuff and human rights. Anytime they want to sell something, they'll just say it's a human right. And it's just a catch-all, a blank check. What they don't say about free stuff, whether it's a living wage or healthcare or anything like that, they never say the second part of their sentence is that they have to take it from someone else at work, which is basically 90% of Americans. And so if you toil, if you sacrifice, if you have delayed gratification, they want to take that from you. But in my article, I talk about specifically they want to take it from your children. And so they don't want you to have any generational wealth. And this is why they always pound on the taxing the billionaires or the multimillionaires. But generational wealth is not that. Generational wealth is any American just leaving something for their children that is a little better than themselves. So the idea that you want your children to start off on second base and not the dugout, that's it. That is the core of the American dream and really the core of humanity, because every parent in the history of parenting want their children to do better. But socialism comes in and starts making noise about these fake marginalized groups, which is really just the losers, the lazy, and the envious. And they want to take from your children and to give to them. And they don't build, of course. They just consume. These are just one-way consumers. It's not like they take that money and they build something. They just tear down and consume. And so I wrote the article because in what we do, in the core of what we do at Courage is a Habit, we see that same culture being driven into children in government K through 12 in all 50 states, by the way. And it's the idea that they brainwash the children to feel ashamed that their parents are giving them a good life or trying to give them a good life. And so what I wrote that article, I wanted to counter that culture by saying we should not be ashamed of saying, I want my children to have a better life. I want them to have a leg up. That's almost like, oh, we can't say that. We can only whisper that because that's white supremacy or that's oppressive. That is a brainwashing of Americans to be ashamed to say. And I want everyone not to be ashamed to say that. I want them to say it, scream it on top of their lungs to say, I want my children to start off on second base, or I want my children to start off on third base. I don't want them to start out in a dugout. There's no shame in starting from the dugout, but guess what? There's no pride in it either to say that every generation just keeps starting from the dugout. And so I want children to grow up and say, hey, my parents loved me enough to give me a leg up. Now, if your parents didn't do that, I'm sorry about you, but do that for your children, but don't you dare take it from my children. And that's what that article was about.
That's interesting because I can see that, we want our children to work hard and earn their way to the top. But for example, we farm and ranch. That's our main income. And it's great to have the kids help with that. So some people would say we're very successful, but that has come on, our kids are the 5th generation of making it successful and making it work. And but if we were to go ahead and pass anything on, they have so many taxes to pay, the death tax and whatever. And this is taxes on land that's already been taxed. This is taxes on equipment that we've purchased that's already been taxed. And then when we pass, then they have to pay the tax. So they really don't want anyone to have a good start in the American life, it seems.
Well, not only are they taxing so that it's harder for you to pass on. It's harder. It makes every generation gets harder to pass on because of these increasing taxes. But these taxes go towards the people who don't do anything. Exactly. You're talking about illegal aliens. You're talking about the jealous, the losers, the envious, and those kind of people, the lazy. And that's so when they start talking about free healthcare and human rights, what they really mean is that they want your family to stop at that 5th generation. They don't want to have a 6th generation and a 7th generation. And not only are they trying to do it from the government standpoint, they're also not your specific children, because I'm sure you're but they want children like your children, your grandchildren, to be ashamed of the previous 5 generations. They're the white supremacists. They're the oppressors. They're the ones who are slave owners. It's that kind of rhetoric. Whereas I would love to see the 5th generation kids tell everybody else, if your parents didn't have that, then you become generation 1 then. But I'm proud of the 5th generation. I am proud of everything that they do. And then if they try to point the finger at your kid, the 5th generation, I would like to see your kids go, I don't care. That's too bad. That's your problem, not my problem. I'm going to make sure that there's another 5 generations of our farm.
And that used to be the American way. Build yourself up, you make yourself successful, but everybody has that opportunity. Now, what I'm wondering, when you have the Bernie Sanders of the world, who's now a multimillionaire, Elizabeth Warren, who wants everybody else's money, but she's doing pretty well for herself, Nancy Pelosi, AOC, where did all that money come from? So why are they are still shouting from the rooftops, acting like successful businessmen, people that have done well for themselves, are the bad guys, and they need to give us their money. But why does it go 2 ways? Why are they so hypocritical? And why aren't their followers recognizing this?
Because their followers are trained to regurgitate starting from kindergarten. So what you're saying there requires critical thinking, requires looking at AOC, looking at what they're doing and saying, hey, well, that's hypocritical. But when you go through the K through 12 education system, and then God forbid if you send them to college even, we always, and we've said this on your show, we highly advise parents sending your kids to college. There's no ROI to that today. But there is no critical thinking. They're just regurgitation. So it doesn't matter if Elizabeth Warren is a millionaire. It doesn't matter if she's a billionaire. There is no hypocrisy. Hypocrisy requires logic and critical thinking, and that's been educated out of kids. And so here is the basic building block of why this works. We all know that there's a lot of children that, and it's increasingly more and more, where they graduate high school and they can't read. They genuinely cannot really read. And so if you can't read, you can't learn. That's your basic building block in life, is reading. If you can't read, you can't learn. And if you can't learn, it's impossible to earn. If you can't earn, then free stuff sounds really great because you know you have no ability to earn a living, a basic living, much less talk about things like generational wealth and building a family and passing that on. That's like a fantasy. That's like sci-fi if you can't read and earn and learn and earn. This is why at the most basic level, they only push social justice activism and anti-white and anti-American propaganda or just critical race theory in school because it replaces academics. So at the worst, you create social justice activists that are screaming and holding signs and yelling and being violent. But even if you don't get them there, even if they're like, well, I'm not going to go hold signs and be violent, if you can make it so that they can't read or that they read at a very, very elementary level, at the very least, you will know that you sent them to a life of poverty. And if you keep people there long enough, yes, the AOCs and all of them sound really great. And that person is not going to go, well, let me take a look at AOC's financial statements. They don't know how to read a financial statement. All they know is the rhetoric that AOC and the Bernie Sanders tell them. Sounds great.
Right. And they become the useful proletariat that socialism and communism is built on. Now, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to go to your tool of the week on your website that talks about girls and sports. So stay tuned.
You know the rule. No phones at the dinner table.
I know, I'm sorry. It's just Noble Gold Investments. I bought some gold for the kids.
Finally.
Well, the gold you bought me gives me so much security in this economic disaster we're having. I want that for them too.
Well, I've been investing with Noble Gold Investments for years, and I'm pretty sure they can wait until after lunch.
Invest in something you can hold. Invest in Noble Gold. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com to learn more.
West River Equipment of Mandan is here to help you maintain peak productivity in your operation. As an authorized dealer for many high-quality equipment lines, we have the new and used equipment it takes to make your farming, ranching, or construction operation profitable and efficient. West River Equipment also has the parts on hand and the experienced technicians in our shop to get your equipment back in action fast. Find what you need at West River Equipment on Old Red Trail in Mandan.
Find relief for what ails you at Steep Me Tea Apothecary. Teas, supplements, tinctures, and more. Formulated to fight whatever has you down. We're Bismarck Mandan's favorite place to find delicious, natural, and easy ways to alleviate symptoms brought on by anything from colds to cancer. Brew a better you at Steep Me Tea Apothecary. Steep Me products may cause side effects, including but not limited to improved mood, deeper sleep, enhanced hydration, renewed sense of smell, increased energy levels, superior balance, boosted immunity, proper digestion, restored sense of calm, and a delightful smelling home.
Welcome to Radiant Retreat Tanning and Spa in Mandan, where a relaxing spa experience meets the latest in healing innovations. Take total control of your massage in our Hydro Massage Bed. Experience whole body healing in our Zero Body Cryo Bed. Let our salt sauna and halo generator restore your respiratory and skin health. And of course, tailored tanning will keep you looking as good as you feel. Discover your best self at Radiant Retreat, 1307 1st Street Northeast, Mandan.
We're from North Dakota, where 12,000 workers bring electricity to 2 million customers and provide over $5 billion in economic activity to the state, while reclaiming 22,000 acres of land. This is coal country.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View, and I want to welcome back our guest, Alvin Lui, who is the founder and president of Courage is a Habit. Welcome back, Alvin. By the way, you want to go to his website, courageisahabit.org. And I want to talk about your website. You have the tool of the week. Every week you have the tool of the week that really empowers. You don't just talk about the problem. You say, this is what we need to do. This is the information you need. This is how you can go about it. And the tool of the week this week talks about girls in sports and the recent Title IX ruling that the Supreme Court made. Explain what that's about.
So the ruling, the ruling was that all 9 judges, even the liberal ones, 9-0, ruled that Title IX is based on sex. Okay. And I don't want to say biological sex because there's no such thing as biological. It's a sex. But for the sake of the ruling, I'll use their term biological sex, meaning women. This could protect women in sports, not gender, not if you think you're a woman. So it's 9-0. And that is remarkable. And we are so happy to see it. And every parent should use that heavily in their state. Now, there was 27 states that already banned, and South Dakota is one of them, banned men to play in women's sports. And the Supreme Court simply ruled that those states doing that is constitutional because Title IX is based on sex. Now, there are 23 states that are still allowing men in women's sports. But in either case, it is really important that every parent knows that the Supreme Court, the law of the land, ruled 9-0 that your state can and should, and it is constitutional, to ban men in women's sports. But here's where there's some nuance here. Every parent believes that an executive order, or even better, a Supreme Court ruling, means that the schools will stop or the schools will change. I want to let every parent know that the schools, whether you're in the 27 states that banned it or the 23 states that haven't banned it, they do not ever stop. They don't care about the Supreme Court ruling. They don't care about any of it. They only care if you use it. And so the way I describe the Supreme Court ruling, which is, again, legally absolutely fantastic, we were over the moon about it, but that 9-0 is only a sword and a shield that they made for you and they lay down. If you don't pick up that sword and shield, nothing happens. Now, I will start with the 27 states that have already banned it. Great. You guys are obviously a little ahead of the game, which is fantastic. However, just because your state have banned men and women's sports does not mean that transgender ideology is out of your schools, which is actually the contrary. The emotional blackmail is still there. A lot of your schools that ban the boys from playing in girls' sports still allow them to use the bathroom. They allow them to practice with the girls. So they're still always pushing that because they know that so long as that they keep the school counselors driving the transgender ideology in schools, eventually you're going to get your children, like in South Dakota, they will grow up, they will be voting age, and they will vote to repeal that ban. You understand? This is not a permanent thing. This is something that they look at, oh, it's just temporary. Like South Dakota banned the boys and girls bathroom or girls sports, but we're going to keep brainwashing the kids and then we're going to overturn that. Eventually, they're going to vote the people in to overturn it. So that's what I want to say to the people in the 27 states. Unless you get it out of the schools and get it out of your mental health, that ban is not going to stand permanently. Now, the 23 states, obviously, you guys have it a little harder because you guys haven't banned it. At this point, there is no more waiting for the Supreme Court. Don't wait for President Trump to try to push another executive order or Congress to pass another law. At this point, your schools, if they still, and they will, they'll allow boys into girls' sports. I speak to all the fathers. Okay. This is a message to all the fathers in the 23 states. Get your girls to boycott the sports. If you don't do that, if you don't give your girls the confidence to mass boycott, nothing's going to change. I don't want to see any more boys standing in the front, the podium, grinning, and the girls dejected. We don't want to see that anymore. What we want to see is girls backing off of the court or off the swimming deck or off the racing block, holding signs that says 9-0 Supreme Court rules to protect girls, and letting that mediocre, mentally ill boy standing there by himself. If you don't do that, fathers, comes from you guys. You have to provide the courage for your daughters. Because I tell you this, if you don't have the courage to get your daughters to back off and to boycott, what you're teaching your daughters is, because I hear it all the time, but they work so hard. They love this. Why should they stop doing it? If that's the excuse, then what you're teaching your daughters is, so long as someone finds what she loves, they will be able to hold her hostage and abuse her to no end. Sports is about teaching life lessons. And this is the greatest life lesson you can teach your daughter, to say, just because you love something, someone who's abusive, and that's what the transgender cult is abusive, someone can't hold you hostage and abuse you because they can hold something you love over your head. And I didn't coin this term, so I give it credit to Seth from Babylon Bee, Steph Dillon. He said, if you are willing to give it up temporarily, you will keep it forever. And I 100% agree with him on that. So that's our, the tool of the week gives you that. It gives you everything I just said. It gives you a letter, a turnkey letter that every parent can use. It gives you graphics that you can put on your Instagram, your Facebook, in text, email campaigns. We give you a whole turnkey to do this. But just like the Supreme Court, it's just a sword and a shield. If you don't have the courage to do it, nothing happens.
So one of the problems that I see with that, I mean, I think that's awesome. But again, we're in the farming ranching industry, and farmers and ranchers don't boycott anything because the neighbors will then pick up and make more money than you. So the same thing goes for these girls. So say the top 5 or 10 girls boycott it. Well, then you have the 11th, 12th, 15th place girls. It's like, you know what? Now maybe even there is a boy on our team, maybe I can get 2nd or 3rd place, and maybe I'll get that scholarship to that school. So it's really difficult to get everybody, 100% of the people, to boycott anything anymore because of the greed and because of, you know, everyone wants something else. But I just see, I think it's fantastic advice. We just have to figure out how to implement it and get everybody 100% on board.
You can't. And if you, so let me take a page from our enemies. When they had everyone post a black square, did 100% of people vote the black square? No. Does 100% of people put Black Lives Matter on their house, their apartment, their business? No. Does 100% of people use pronouns? No. Does 100% of business participate in pride events? No. Our enemies have taken over this country not because they needed 100%, but because they needed simply 2%. Because 2% is a lot of people. And what they're looking for is momentum and activity. What our side makes a mistake is that if we don't do it 100% right, we don't do it at all. And that's why we lose. So it doesn't matter if other people don't do it. You just have to, as a father, all you can control is your daughter, and then hopefully the fathers of her teammates. So if you have, 10 people, try to do the 10 people. And if 11, 12, and 13, if they step in, then they step in. But you have to start that momentum. And I promise you, if you get a bunch of girls to do that, that's going to go crazy. The left-wing media is going to cover it. The right-wing media is going to cover it. And that's when you start that momentum. And our enemies have changed this entire country, not because they got 100% of people, but because they got like 10%. That's it.
Right, and like you say, courage is a habit, and at least they can sleep well at night instead of putting their girls into an abusive situation that they're compromising, they're feeling bad, they're upset about it, their girls aren't even safe. At least they can sleep well at night and say, this is wrong and we're not going to participate. Will there be some suffering? Yeah, there might be. But I love what you're doing, and that makes so much sense that you don't have to have 100%. So courageisahabit.org, take a look, and thank you once again, Alvin, for joining us. We'll be back. We'll be back after these messages talking about making optimism a habit. So don't go away.
Thanks, Alvin.
Thank you.
There's never been a better time to rediscover the style, reliability, and all-season, all-terrain fun of the all-new Nissan lineup at the new and improved Ryan Nissan. Whether it's the sleek and stylish Murano, the adventure-ready Pathfinder, or the reimagined, ready-for-anything 2026 Rogue, the all-new Ryan Nissan has the vehicle of your dreams at a price perfect for any budget. It's time to rediscover your passion for the road. It's time to rediscover the all-new Ryan Nissan, engineered to endure.
Are you dealing with arthritis, nerve and back pain, dry skin, or superficial wounds, but found no relief? Give Stewart's Natural Health a try. For over 4 decades, Stewart's Natural Health has been helping people and animals with herbal and natural oil lotions, ointments, and creams with a mission to help you relieve pain and feel your best using the power of nature. Discover the safe, drug-free solution to your pain. guaranteed or your money back. Visit stewartsnatural.health today.
Welcome to where classy meets Wild West. Buffalo Gypsy Boutique of Bismarck has clothing, decor, and gifts ranging from sophisticated boho style to fun and flashy. Our exclusive brands such as Scully, Double D Ranch, and Tanner Mark provide standout style for the whole family, right down to the little ones. We always have a great selection of Kimes denim, and we proudly offer American-made jewelry and artwork. Find Buffalo Gypsy classing up North Bismarck just off Highway 83.
West River Equipment of Mandan is here to help you maintain peak productivity in your operation. As an authorized dealer for many high-quality equipment lines, we have the new and used equipment it takes to make your farming, ranching, or construction operation profitable and efficient. West River Equipment also has the parts on hand and the experienced technicians in our shop to get your equipment back in action fast. Find what you need at West River Equipment on Old Red Trail in Mandan.
Welcome to Arrowhead Cleaners. Newly renovated, modernized, and ready to make your cleaning needs hassle-free. From commercial and residential wash and fold laundry services to the latest in professional dry cleaning techniques, we are dedicated to your unique needs, offering alterations, fabrications, and even custom hat making. So whether you're a busy professional, a family on the go, or even a rodeo champion, Arrowhead Cleaners is here to take your things from messed up to dressed up. Now celebrating our 64th year in Arrowhead Plaza.
Ashley, North Dakota is where life moves a little slower, but never gets dull. From hunting, camping, and fishing to safe streets where kids can be kids, this is the best of small town living. And Ashley offers everything you need, from healthcare to hardware to countless ways to stay active. Here, we've invested in our future with major upgrades to roads, parks, and education. Whether you're here for the day or here for life, you'll find Ashley's where you ought to be.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View. It's time for the lighter side, my favorite. Well, I was going to say my favorite segment, but they're all my favorites.
They're all my favorites, right?
We have great guests on, great audience, that's why. So I want to talk about optimism. Everybody wants to be an optimist. I think most people do.
Yes. Excuse me, amen to that. I think I was a member of the Optimist Club when I lived in Sioux Falls for a couple of years, and they actually have clubs like that.
You know, I know George Will, who was a commentator, editorial guy, well known for years. He did say something funny. He says, at least when you're a pessimist, you're never disappointed. So there's that to say for that. But I think most of us want to look on the bright side of things. And I came across a segment from News Nation with Dr. Robi Ludwig, and she's a psychotherapist with 36 years of experience. And she talks about you can make it a habit. So maybe you're not real optimistic, but you can work on it.
We've learned over many studies is that you can actually train your brain to be more optimistic. And the way to go about doing that is first to think about what's in your environment, because we are very much affected by our environment, by the people we interact with, the news that we digest, the things that we read. And to really think about, is this helping my mental well-being? And you have to be somewhat aware of yourself. Also, writing down your blessings trains your brain to look for the good things. And when you observe these good things, you're better able to see yourself as a luckier person.
All right. All well and good. Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Leland, I was going to ask you, and this is really important for the doctor, is that it's also physical, right? So it's not just that you're a happier person. There are physical impacts on your brain if you look at the glass half full, right?
That's right. So there are different parts of our brain that light up when we are more optimistic and enables us to think from a more resilient thinking pattern. So we're always looking for ways to resolve a situation. We're inclined to be more creative when we're thinking about, doors closing. It's more of a way of thinking of how can I make something work for myself? When you have a negativity bias, you just stay stuck and you feel hopeless. So optimism is about nurturing a realistic hopefulness where you take action to move in the direction of your dreams and just a healthier, happier way of interacting in the world.
Yeah, they talk about people who make it through sort of awful situations, whether it be concentration camp survivors, whether it be people who survive in war, people who survive after plane crashes. A huge part of it is how mentally positive they keep themselves.
Wow. And, you know, I think faith has a big part of it, too, because, Patty, I lean to you when you lost your husband, Mark. It's like you were so optimistic. I mean, I know you were sad, and, you know, there were so many feelings that went along with that, but it's like you knew he was in a good place. You had seen that photo, that his last photo that he had taken, it looked like
the Northern Lights, and it looked like
yes.
the divine mercy with the rays coming from Christ. And you were such a good friend during that time. I don't want to cry, but
no.
You called me because I couldn't even talk on the phone without crying. But I left the hospital sobbing my eyes up, looking at the blessings, because I had already trained my brain. I already understood that if you look at your blessings and don't just look at the bad things, like when you get a flat tire, you can say, I can call a tow truck, I can fix this, I own a car, I will survive this. Can you look at the bright side when something bad happens? Because when you can do that, it gives you strength and courage to go on and meet the day. Be optimistic.
And I always go back to Max Lucado. It's called The Man with the White Horse. What do you think is a blessing could be a curse? What do you think is a curse could be a blessing? And it could be that flat tire. It's like, you know, they got that flat tire pulled aside. Well, they might have missed a car accident down the road, or they might have missed something else, or, you know, maybe it was going to have a blowout. So that flat tire could actually be a blessing in disguise.
It is about walking with the Lord and putting your faith in God, that He's got this, He's watching, that even the difficult things, yeah, we're going to have trials, we're going to have difficulties. I know my brother lost his job once. He said it was the worst day of his life, but in 24 hours, it was the best day of his life because he realized all the opportunities that had opened up for him. So anyways, let's work on being optimistic. We can do it. You know, just make it into a habit.
Be like Patty.
Yeah, and Mary too. What do you always say at the end of the shows? Go make a difference, right?
Well, no, it's like go save our country
there
and be more like Patty.
Okay. Thank you for
Ashley, North Dakota is where life moves a little slower, but never gets dull. From hunting, camping, and fishing to safe streets where kids can be kids, this is the best of small town living. And Ashley offers everything you need, from healthcare to hardware to countless ways to stay active. Here, we've invested in our future with major upgrades to roads, parks, and education. Whether you're here for the day or here for life, you'll find Ashley's where you ought to be.
We are the St. Mary Sisters. We are building a new facility here in Bismarck, North Dakota, for the sake of training young women to be courageous teachers in this state. The Sisters will educate the younger generation to be fully alive through truth and discipline. The Sisters' life of devotion and joy will make a positive difference in your community. Check out what we're up to, see what's going on, and join our mission to make a difference in the lives of the children of North Dakota.
I'm Gary Ameneth, host of Open Range. We've been at this for the past couple years. Representative Matt Heilman of Bismarck and former legislator Brandon Pritchard are going to do some regular segments on Open Range. While we cover a lot of politics, we're still going to be continued doing mostly all things North Dakota. One exception, Friday evening, I'll be doing a new show on Open Range called On the Horn. This show will be long interviews of 3 to 5 hours with the people I'm interviewing. They'll be airing week after week on that Friday evening. So thank you for being a part of the Beck TV and Open Range family.
Come on in and experience small town hospitality and the personalized care that makes car buying a pleasure.
We know that every journey starts with the right car. Whether it's school drop-off, weekend road trips, or your daily commute, we have the right vehicle for you and your family.
With trusted brands, affordable prices, and a team that treats you like family, finding your next car has never been so easy.
We pride ourselves on personal attention and quality service. Bassett Motors, where our customers send their friends.
Hey y'all, it's Trent on the loose. I want to tell you, Lady Blue and I, we got a lot of miles together, but you know what? You and I got a lot of miles together as well. And all I want to do is bring to you the information on how we maintain a domestic supply of food and fuel for future generations. So I'm going to continue to travel the world and unearth the stories that make it possible that we can live in a free United States of America.
I'm Corey Heppola, and a long time ago I left my small town for a big city. Now I wonder, what would it be like to move rural?
Just because we're small doesn't mean we can't have nice things.
This is my town.
Man, it's mad love up in here.
Sunday night, 6:30 on Beck TV.